Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the AEW review for the 6th of January 2021, the first AEW Dynamite of the year. And honestly, I'm an AEW fan, but I was disappointed. Yes, there were good things on the show, but there were also AEW dark level things on the show where people that did not belong, with it being first show of the year. To me, first show of the year sets the tone for the year, and so when I see a first show of the year that makes me go, really? Am I watching this? That doesn't make me feel good at all, and I walked away from this Dynamite going, yes, they had a good final angle. Yes, there were things on this show that made me want to watch next week, but also a lot of what makes me want to watch next week is the matches announced for next week and the way they were hyped. It wasn't anything to do with this show. And that's a backward step for AEW. So ahead of the opener, Max Caster does his usual rap deal, um, and he gets censored by the network. Then we go to Young Bucks and SCU, Daniels and Kazarian, versus the acclaimed Caster and Bowens and TH2 and Helico and Jack Evans. Uh, if you like high spots for the sake of high spots for no reason, this match was fine. If you like wasting your tag team champions in a throwaway 8-man, this match was fine. If you like 8-man matches just to fill time to open a show, this match was fine. If you want storyline development, character development, or anything that would make a new fan watch more, this match didn't do it. Daniels takes a shot at Caster early, leads to a brawl pretty quickly. Baby faces all hit dives, of course. Let's do dives because that's all we really know how to do. And then Kazarian and Bowens are the only ones left in the ring. Bucks go through, some decent sequences with TH2. As I've mentioned before, I would keep Angelico and Junk Evans completely. Eminem was relevant in 1999, not 2021, and so to me, I'm looking at Jack Evans, and there are other people that can do the moves he can do and do them better, and they actually have a personality. To me, Jack Evans is a waste of money. Maybe he got over in Mexico. He's not over in the States, as best I can tell, especially when you have guys, even on this show, Darby Allin and Matt Sydal both can do everything Jack Evans can do and do it better. So then we see a flipping senton dive from Nick. Daniels goes for the Arabian moonsault. He gets caught off guard. Acclaim gets a little bit of control. Heels maintain control for a pretty long time. They actually do a good heat segment here. And Helico goes for submission holds, which is why I like him. He does things that other people aren't doing and stands out. Daniels gets broken down. Daniels fights back with a Blue Thunder Bomb, and Kazarian gets the hot tag. Kazarian goes nuts on TH2. Hits a German suplex, bridging for near fall. Evans hits a kick and a corkscrew moonsault for near fall. Matt tags in, lands a double suplex on Evans and Bowens, and he takes out everybody with dives, and we've seen the dives already. So why are we redoing stuff? Why are we rehashing stuff? Risky business for the Bucks on Bowens, followed by Kazarian hitting a slingshot DDT for another 2 count. Kazarian and Nick hit the BTE trigger. Evans breaks up the pin. TH2 hits a backbreaker. Combination style. Nick gets the knees up. And Evans hits a 630. Bucks hit a super kick party on everybody before setting up the Meltzer driver. I hate the name of the move. Meltzer shouldn't be part of on-air wrestling. I'm sorry. I don't buy it. Nick stumbles to the ropes, but makes up for it with a dive to the outside. Daniels worked together for the best Meltzer ever to finish it. Kazarian grabs the mic and basically says that the ultimatum of SCU is legitimate, and they challenge the Bucks for the tag team championships. And it appears the Bucks accept somewhere down the road. This I like. This could be good. And it plays into later in the show. Also, Jericho takes a stab at WWE without mentioning them by name, basically saying that in AEW they follow through on stipulations. And in the year plus of the company, they've proven this to be true, which I think WWE could learn from. Of course, WWE doesn't want to learn because 38 years later, Vince no longer cares about his product, and there's no one that can convince me that he does. He cares about making money, and he cares about being in power, but he doesn't care about the product. Moxley promo. Moxley says that complaining about his title loss would be a waste of time. Life isn't always fair. Life is hardly ever fair, and all you can do is endure and get through it, and then not back down. He said what to do with Kenny Omega. Moxley sees things in black and white and doesn't have time for crappy people. He said he would like to beat them all up tonight. Rey Fenix gets his opportunity, scratching and clawing for 13 years to reach it, and he's finally reached it. Omega isn't safe and never will be. Moxley will forever be in Omega's blind spot, and one day Omega will look out and see the eyes of Moxley. Really good promo, and honestly, Moxley did more to put Phoenix over than the announcers or Phoenix himself have done his whole run, so that's a good thing. Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy are interviewed about an update on Trent. They say he has a torn pectoral. It'll be out 4 to 5 months. That's a tough break. I don't necessarily like the best friends gimmick, but I don't want to see anyone out of work for an extended period of time. Miro, Sabin, and Ford interrupt. Miro said that it is horrible that Trent's injured that way, but it is worse even more for them because Trent's the leader of their little group, and says that Taylor could be his new best friend doing chores for him. Taylor responds by challenging Miro to a match next week. Miro accepts on the condition that if Miro wins, Taylor must be his young boy until after Sabian and Ford's wedding. Taylor accepts the stipulation flippantly. I mean, I hope this is a heel turn for Taylor. I think Taylor and Trent as rivals could be something down the road. I still think they're wasting Miro in this throwaway with completely vanilla, flavorless characters like Sabian and Ford. But if you've got to do it, I think aligning Taylor with Miro would at least give some personality to the bunch if they did it. Video plays Wardlow talking about his issues with Jake Hager. Wardlow's been absent because he's taking care of his family. Inner Circle is also his family, and he's capable of taking care of both. Tonight he's going to give Hager a war. Wardlow defeating Hager, I'm not a fan of at all. Number one, I don't really see as much in Wardlow as I do in Hager. Number two, a real-life fighter should always beat a phony wrestler unless that phony wrestler is your champion or somebody you're pushing to the moon. I don't, under any circumstances, think Hager should lose in AEW unless it's to a top guy. That's just my opinion. Otherwise, it looks hokey. They do a lockup to start. Neither man takes advantage. Wardlow achieves a takedown. Hager gets one of his own, beats Wardlow down in the corner with strikes. Again, he wins real fights and can knock people out. Why is he having problems with a guy who doesn't have a lot of real-world experience? It doesn't make logical sense. Anyway, they collide in the center of the ring with clotheslines and land a shoulder tackle. Wardlow clotheslines Hager to the outside, and they trade hands before clotheslines, and both men go down as we go to the break. Wardlow uses athletic attack on Hager in the corner, hits a series of Suplexes for near fall. Hager escapes an F10 and hits a series of clotheslines, lariats. Overhead suplex followed by a near fall. Wardlow countered with a Vader bomb. Hager able to lock on the ankle lock, and Wardlow kicked his way out of that, tackles Hager, and sends him into the barricade. Back in the ring, Wardlow hits some more suplexes, hits a German of his own, senton, followed by another near fall. Hager locks on the head and arm choke. Wardlow gets his foot on the ropes, forces the break, and they both fight on the second rope, and Hager applies the head and arm choke a second time. Wardlow shoves him off and hits the F10 for the win. Hager's frustrated, and the rest of the inner circle give him a fist bump as a show of respect. I don't understand this. I think it's horrible. And honestly, if you're going to have a real fighter, you got to treat him like he's something special and different. If you're not going to do that, then don't employ guys who know how to fight in the real world. Private Party is about to make some gin and juice backstage. They only had the gin. Snoop Dogg comes in. He arrives with the juice. Matt Hardy shows up and puts contracts in front of Private Party. The implications: Hardy would take a large cut of their earnings in exchange for mentorship. This is horrible. Number one, you're paying Matt Hardy, I would bet, good money, and you're putting him with a team that they can do spots, but so can Top Flight, so can Castro and Bowens. Like, if you're going to put Matt Hardy in something, give it to a multi-dimensional character who actually has a chance of going somewhere. I'm not a fan of this. Darby Allin and Brian Cage do the weigh-in spot. Allin comes out with the new TNT Championship belt. It now has a black strap. Cage is out with Team Taz as well. They're going to wrestle next week for the championship on Dynamite. Taz gets offended that Cage had to weigh in first. Cage goes about it anyway. Cage's official weight is 272 pounds. Allin comes in at 170 pounds. That seems like a thing. Anyway, Allin said that he's been dealing with this type of bully for 27 years. And he's getting ready for a fight. Lights go out. Sting appears with the bat. Team Taz retreats to the stage. Taz promises he'd see a new TNT. We would see a new TNT champion next week. Okay, so I love the fact that they signed Sting. I think signing Sting is a good idea. But now it's like the fourth or fifth time we've seen Sting just come out with a bat. Can Sting do something else? Can Sting show depth of character? Can we use Sting to move stories forward? Otherwise, snow and a bat is not worth whatever Sting's getting paid. Anyway, backstage, Hager is punching a garage door. MJF tells him he's a better athlete than the audience, and he's undefeated in MMA. Hager says he's about to lay MJF out, but instead MJF was a cool person, and he appreciated the support. They air a clip of Brody Lee's son, -1, cutting a promo on Marco's stunt from last night on Dark. Alex Marvez, remember him? Yeah, we could have gotten him. We could have gotten rid of him in as a begin 2021 cut. Anyway, interviews Jurassic Express about their bit of fun. FTR interrupts and calls stunt useless. I agree. I'm glad somebody's saying it. I'm glad they're saying it on TV. Unfortunately, with the fact they're saying it, that means they're actually going to try and push stunt, because otherwise they'd have to write him out of stories, and they're not going to do it. Stunt proposed taking Luchasaurus' spot in their upcoming tag match. FTR is unconcerned with this. Obviously, I will lose my mind if they have to sell and make Marco Stunt look credible. Just no. If you want to give him to guys on Dark, fine. If you want to give him to a storyline like you would in Orange Cassidy, fine. Not guys that have been to WWE, not guys who are the best tag team in the U.S. right now, maybe the world. Not guys who can actually contribute to your product. There's a difference between comedy, one or two note guys, and FTR and guys like FTR, and to waste them is just it's arrogant and it's stupid. Anyway, during Cody's entrance, they do more hype for the Go Big show that Snoop Dogg and Cody are judges on. Cody with Snoop Dogg defeats Matt Sydal. Decent little match here. Nothing to write home about, but at the same time, the match was decent. High kick early by Sydal. He misses an arm drag attempt. Follows up with a meteor on the ramp. He hurts his knee in the process. Snoop Dogg looks like he's about to get laid out with it, or it looks like he could be close enough where he didn't know how far back to stand. Cody takes advantage, hits a right hand. Sydal lands a diving dropkick to the outside. Cody tries a strike war. Sydal misses and hits Serpentico at ringside. I don't know why he was there. Anyway, Cody rolls through on a diving crossbody and steps over into the Scorpion Deathlock, which is an interesting thing. Maybe there's going to be something between Cody and Sting at some point, but Sydal reaches the ropes. After commercial, Cody lands an inverted vertical suplex on the second rope, getting a near fall. Sydal avoids a moonsault attempt and hits a rising knee strike. He goes for the shooting star press. Cody gets the knees up and hits an inverted DDT. Cody tries to keep his offense going. Sydal reverses it into the Cobra Clutch attempt. They trade strikes till Cody clotheslines Sydal to the floor. Back in the ring, Cody hits the disaster kick for near fall. Sydal fights out of a Rana, and then there's a good near fall there. Roundhouse kick followed by a lightning spiral gets another close near fall for Sydal. This match is really good, although it doesn't have any long-term storyline implications. Cody avoids another knee strike and hits a couple of crossroads for the pins. Luther and Serpentico, known as the Chaos Project, attack Cody post-match. Sydal comes in, makes the save against the guy that he just fought, which makes no sense. Luther tries to go to the top rope. Snoop Dogg waves Sydal off. Snoop Dogg climbs to the top rope, lands a very awkward-looking old man top rope splash. Cody counted the 3 just for a fun segment. And I imagine this could get some news coverage with medium-level stations tomorrow, especially with the debut of their new reality show. This was a good use of a celebrity. I still like Jericho basically putting over that Snoop is in AEW as if they stole him from WWE. That's the implication, even though it's never officially said. Abaddon attacks Shida during the entrance in the AEW Women's Championship match. I do not like the Abaddon gimmick. I think it's goofy. I think it's an attempt at something like Undertaker Kane with women, and it's not hitting on any cylinder. I cannot imagine anyone anywhere, except during Halloween season, buying a ticket to see Abaddon. Not the wrestler either. The gimmick. The gimmick is one note, and it's completely stupid. Anyway, inside the ring, Shida takes control with a drop kick. She still has a gash from being bit on the neck from Abaddon from a couple weeks ago. How she never managed to get some Neosporin or some stitches, I don't quite understand. Shida goes for a knee lift. Abaddon catches her off guard with it, and then Abaddon bites Shida's leg. Gee, I wonder if Abaddon's had her tetanus shot. Anyway, and is biting a way to transmit COVID. Anyway, so then drives her into the barricade. Abaddon drags Shida under the ring, and then we've got blood dripping down her face, so I guess the inference is she bit her face while she was down there. Shida emerged, bit on the neck again. This is not a disqualification. Match continues. They go back into the ring. X Factor from Abaddon gets a near fall, and she counters to get to the break. Shida sends Abaddon to the outside, lands a frog splash crossbody on the floor, and she repeatedly smashes her head into the barricade before landing a top rope and hitting a superplex. Abaddon does the bridge like Bray Wyatt and lands a clothesline for a near fall. Random Cradle allows Shida to hit a knee for the win. I'm glad the right person won. I don't know where you go from here with the Abaddon character. Hopefully, writing it out would be my approach. Anyway, next week, the second half of New Year's Smash, which I actually like the fact they played it in January, but that's just me. Darby Allin, Brian Cage, NWA Women's Champion Serena Deeb against Ty Conti, Miro, Chuck Taylor, FTR, Jurassic Express, Pac and Eddie Kingston, Inner Circle, New Year's Resolution, and Britt Baker's Waiting Room with guest Cody Rhodes. I imagine this to be a little bit of a talk-heavy segment, but there's at least a couple things I like there. Ty Conti discusses her NWA Women's Championship match. I'm sorry, but if she wins, that's an insult to the NWA history, now, then, forever, and in any generation in the future. And even if the world got blown up, it would still be an insult if the world regenerated itself. Ty Conti cuts a wrestling school promo, basically saying she has jiu-jitsu experience. She'd have the Dark Order in her corner for the match. Pac and the Lucha Brothers build his Death Triangle. Pac introduces Rey Fenix as the next world champion. And the belt collection of Kenny Omega is done after this. The main event is here, AEW World Championship Kenny Omega with Don Callis defeating Rey Fenix. A lot of people online are raving about this match, and I hated it. I don't understand why people are into Lucha with very little storytelling on American TV. I understand Lucha has its place. I enjoyed Psychosis and Rey Mysterio in ECW in 1995, 96, whatever. But at the same time, that wasn't a main event program. That wasn't a supposed to draw on national television. That was a niche product, and it was a niche match that caught some people's attention but wasn't meant to be a main event. I don't understand. People are calling this the best match in the pandemic era. Others are calling this the best match on AEW TV ever. And I really think wrestling has passed me by. Omega tries to use power, then goes to chain wrestling at the start. Pace goes nuts, spiking Huracan Rana from Omega. He calls for a dive. Phoenix runs back in, lands a Rana of his own, and fakes a dive. Phoenix kicks Omega and lands a diving Rana. Back in the ring, Omega hits a DDT. Phoenix, who is Lucha, pops right back up and doesn't sell. He hits a drop kick. He goes for a springboard. Omega chops him down and continues to beat him up on the floor. We're already on the floor, and we're a couple minutes into the match. Phoenix is sent into the barricade and hits a Gamagiri before hitting a rolling cutter, but Omega counters into a Snapdragon suplex. That should be a finish, not a transitional spot. Omega follows it up with a back suplex into the barricade before sending Phoenix back into the ring. Omega hits the Crusher for near fall. Phoenix fight back with an overhead chops and leads to a chop exchange. Omega wins because he has power and he's drinking his protein shakes. Omega counters and goes right after the midsection of Phoenix, and then lands a springboard headbutt. Phoenix goes top rope, gets knocked down, and recovers enough to hit a move he intended to. Phoenix then follows up with a tope dive to the outside and almost lands in the crowd. Omega goes for some sort of submission. Phoenix fights out and flips into a German suplex for a near fall. Phoenix lands a diving stomp into the back of Omega's head, and it's the only time in the match that I actually thought they might do something with Phoenix. Other than that, this is a throwaway match. I mean, in terms of story, who believes that Rey Fenix was going to win? And that's the thing. If you're going to do a championship match on television, there should be at least some question as to whether the person challenging can win or not. Anyway, they do a chop battle, seated in the middle of the ring. Omega gets, the advantage because of power, thinks about tearing off the mask, does a series of strikes. Omega avoids a hook kick and lands a V-trigger. Phoenix bounces back with a hook kick, leading to a double knockdown. Phoenix goes for a dive. Omega counters with a rising knee and hits a power bomb, stack-up version. And then the second or third V-trigger in the match, followed for a near fall. Yet another one. Omega sets up the one-winged angel, but Phoenix counters that into a reverse Rana. Callis distracts Phoenix, and Omega lands another V-trigger. So that's like 7 of his finishes now. Gee, I'm really over. I can hit with moves that would knock a person out in a normal fight half a dozen times in a 30-minute match. That makes me special. I hate that style. Anyway, Phoenix hits a Gamaguri and then hits a Fire Thunder Driver, follows by a near fall. Omega gets the knees up on a frog splash attempt and puts Phoenix up on the top rope. Phoenix fights out, goes for a dive. Omega catches him with a J Driller, and then another V trigger. One of these things is not like the other. Anyway, Omega gets the knees up and he finally gets the win after one winged angel. Post-match, Callis grabs the mic and says that he's heard something terrible is happening in the back. Eddie Kingston and the family are attacking Pac and Penta backstage. Callis says they weren't coming to help Phoenix. Jon Moxley comes out with a barbed wire bat. Now that makes sense. What doesn't make sense is what follows. A bazillion people start beating down Omega. Start beating down Moxley after Moxley hits Omega a few times with the barbed wire bat. The Good Brothers from Impact, Gallows and Anderson, and their Impact Tag Team Champions come out. They come out to make the save for Omega. They lay out Moxley with the Magic Killer before Omega repeatedly hit Moxley with the barbed wire bat. This goes on for several minutes. Finally, Omega is continuing to beat him down, and some random friends, otherwise known as Dark members, otherwise known as the Varsity Blondes in this case, Pillman and Garrison, run down to try and make the save. They're easily handled, and then a bunch of other wrestlers come in, but they're sent packing. Omega, Gallows, and Anderson are dominant. Gallows powerbombed some random person through a table. Omega hits Moxley with a barbed wire bat again. Moxley makes one last attempt to come back, but he's overwhelmed, strength in numbers. Anyway, Young Bucks run out, trying to make the save and reason with Omega. Good Brothers, all of them are in the Bullet Club at one point. Anyway, Varsity Blondes try to attack Omega and the Bucks, super kick them away. Omega raises the Too Sweet sign, and both the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks join, and they all pose to close the show. Now, if the Bucks have turned heel, I don't mind this, but you do have the problem that now you have a lot of heels. You've got the Good Brothers, you've got Omega, you've got the Bucks, you've got, I think is that everybody? Omega, Good Brothers, Bucks. Maybe there's an alliance or two other out there, but I mean, you've got these top heels. Trouble is, where are the top baby faces? Moxley got beat up for several minutes with no friends except guys from the Dark Show. I mean, everybody else is kind of paired off elsewhere. The problem is, if you're going to do an Invasion storyline, you have to have a vision for the promotion's baby faces, or unless you're thinking you're going to do the NWO and turn Omega and the Bucks back babyface again, but even that doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense. Anyway, we'll be back with the NXT review right after this.